What is going on, everybody? We're going to be watching Ryan Hall, y'all. And he is a man that's going to be telling us, forget the cameras over here, is going to be telling us what kind of weather we're going to be expecting. So without further ado, let's get into this.
It's Friday, March 13th, 2026. It's the 72nd day of the year, and things are really
This
ramping
was
up out there.
yesterday.
A high end blizzard is
Actually,
set to
no.
paralyze the upper
Actually, no. This was 2 days ago. Sorry.
Midwest this weekend, while the same system is going to bring powerful squall lines and potential tornadoes into the Ohio Valley, and that's going to move into the mid Atlantic right after that. So let's jump right into it. Now, yesterday we had some crazy stuff going on in the southeast. We had a bunch of storms, and we had a 109-mile-per-hour wind gust out west. That same system has kind of ushered into the Ohio Valley today, where we've seen widespread damage in Indiana and Ohio, even up there into portions of Illinois and Kentucky. An 85-mile-per-hour hurricane-force wind gust was recorded in Cleveland. We've had multiple semis blown over. We've had schools closed. We've had schools damaged, roofs blown off of buildings, shingles coming off of houses. A lot of big-time stuff is happening out there with this wind, and it's catching a lot of people off guard. We've also got hundreds of thousands of people without power right now, and that is because we just have this crazy dynamic system moving through that's setting the stage for our next big storm. That's why I wanted to bring this up. The power that you're feeling out there today is going to be the fuel for our next storm. And that next system really starts with an enhanced risk for heavy snow across the upper Mississippi Valley, putting cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul right in the crosshairs for snowfall rates that are going to be intense, easily exceeding 2 to 3 inches per hour, as a band of very heavy snow is going to expand from South Dakota and Montana all the way into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. On top of the snow, we're going to have northerly winds starting to gust over 40 miles per hour, and that's going to create blowing snow and localized whiteout conditions. So if you live anywhere in this zone, your Saturday night travel plans are going to be a lot more complicated here, okay? And this is really just the beginning. As you can see, this thing is just getting started here as we go from Saturday into Sunday. And even though we're just getting started, we're already talking about by Sunday morning having over 7 inches of snow in Dickinson, South Dakota, 4 or 5 inches in Jamestown. We're talking about already 5 inches on the ground by 2 a.m. Sunday morning. And remember, we're just getting started. And then in St. Cloud, we're talking about 7, maybe 8 inches or so. Eau Claire will already have potentially 4 inches on the ground by this time, and you can see that this is going to continue to move east. It really hasn't started accumulating yet in Green Bay or Oshkosh or all the way down there towards Detroit, but it's coming, and boy is it coming. By Sunday morning, this system is going to become an absolute monster. We have a rare high risk for significant winter storm impacts from eastern Minnesota straight through Wisconsin. This is going to be one of the more impactful storms that we've had up here in quite some time. You see, we're going to have a rapidly deepening surface low dropping below 990 millibars, and that's going to track right across the Great Lakes, throwing immense amounts of moisture into sub-freezing air. This is a classic textbook setup for paralyzing upper Midwest blizzard conditions, and the worst is going to be expected probably between the Twin Cities and Eau Claire and Wausau, but I think even places as far south as Rochester could get a good blizzard out of this. You're going to have intermittent blizzard conditions on the backside in Des Moines, potentially even over there towards Milwaukee as well. But you can see that Chicago, for the most part, is going to stay all rain here, it seems like. And you can also see that there's going to be a thin band of freezing rain somewhere, but it doesn't look like it's going to be stationary enough to be a huge problem, except for maybe in northern Michigan. Not the UP of Michigan, but northern Michigan, where potentially Gaylord is right around there. I think that we might have some ice accumulation problems, but right now those problems pale in comparison to the just general blizzard that we're going to be having to the north and west. We are really talking about widespread crazy snow totals here of 12 to 18 inches, with many places getting over 2 feet. And the NBM, which is a average of all the models, is just going plumb wild here. It's going off the charts in Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. We got some places clocking in at over 40 inches of snow by Monday afternoon. Okay, this is just so much snow out here in the UP of Michigan. Also, northeast Wisconsin, we're talking about Rhinelander, Townsend, Crandon, Iron Mountain, potentially over 3 feet of snow. And this is going to be just an absolute shutdown storm for anybody in the light blue there. But even Minneapolis could see up to 18 inches of snow. And once again, Chicago on the backside, you guys might get a couple inches out of this as well. 3 to 4 inches from Des Moines to Chicago. That is definitely in the realm of possibility. Milwaukee, Madison, we're talking about 6 to 8 inches. And even up there towards Duluth, we're talking about 13 inches or so. But the snow is really only like half the story. I mean, we're going to get a lot of snow here, but the wind is going to be a big thing. We're talking about 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. That's going to definitely cause some power outages and some other problems with whiteout conditions. So when you combine the snowfall rates that are needed to make this much snow and 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, you're going to have yourself a very memorable snowstorm up here. I know we get these all the time. You know, there's going to be comments like, "Oh, it snows in March in Wisconsin all the time." I know, but I promise it's been several years since you've seen one like this in this specific area. So please do not try to drive in this on Sunday or Saturday, even going into Monday. It's possible that you're going to get stranded and emergency crews will not be able to reach you. Temperatures are going to plummet behind this system into the single digits on Sunday night, which means any wet roads are also going to freeze instantly. So if you start off as rain, that isn't a saving grace. This heavy blowing snow combined with severe winds will also lead to scattered power outages, maybe even moderately widespread power outages. So make sure that you have your devices charged and you stay warm, okay? If this verifies, over 14 million people are going to be dealing with one of the most intense blizzards we've seen in years. And as if that wasn't enough, the upper Midwest is getting buried in snow, while at the same time, we're potentially going to be having a severe weather outbreak just to the south. This is
I prayed to the All Father and to Thor to bring something of this magnitude to you motherfuckers out there in this area, to the states that are red. And you know what? You motherfuckers are gonna get what you fucking deserve.
all the same system here. The Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk.
And I know the other thing he covered. Not everything gets that bad at down here in Texas. And you know something? I hope some of this hits Texas, but only hits the people in the red fucking areas. Yeah. I don't live in San Angelo anymore. So go fuck yourselves, people. You motherfuckers know who you voted for. So suck it.
Risk for severe weather from northeast Louisiana up through Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, and Missouri. And then we've got a slight risk around.
Oh, and I want to say thank you to my new subscriber. I don't know who you are, but I want to say thank you. Let's keep getting the numbers up, people. Let's get the numbers up. We're not that far. We're still a little ways off from 100 subscribers. But let's keep it going, all right? Let's keep it going.
That it goes all the way up to Chicago and southern portions of Michigan.
And sorry if I'm not recording a whole lot. Excuse me. I got shit going on. All right, but more content. Ooh. More content is coming.
Yes, we're potentially going to have severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings in places that will shortly afterwards see snow and intermittent blizzard conditions. Yes, this is an incredible dynamic situation. Yes, also Clarksville, Tennessee is included in this highest risk area. So we will be reaching out and covering you guys during this as well. But this just looks like a widespread severe weather event that's going to have hundreds of wind reports and the potential for some tornadoes. So here's the setup. We've got a powerful upper level trough that I was talking about yesterday, and that's going to rapidly deepen on Sunday, creating an intense high level jet stream across the region. The jet stream winds with this are literally, I hate to be super repetitive here, but plumb wild. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And at the surface, there's going to be a very prominent cold front that comes together that's going to sweep eastward, and that's going to, of course, crash into very warm, moist air mass coming from the Gulf. And that squall line is actually going to start forming in the afternoon from Arkansas to Texas, and that's going to bring the initial threat for large hail and damaging wind gusts. And you can see how quickly that's going to spread out into Indiana, western Kentucky, western Tennessee as well. But I want you to notice something here. There's something really interesting going on. Out in front of that main line, you see the brief moment where we have some supercells popping up? If that is something that actually happens, there's so much wind shear out here that tornadoes are going to be possible. This might actually be a significant tornado outbreak if that actually happens. But right now, we're too far out to be talking like that. All I know for sure at this point is that we are going to have a widespread damaging wind squall line event, and that's what we need to be preparing for, at least at this moment. We'll update you on the tornado threat as we get more data. And just look at all the moisture that we're going to have with this, man. It's absolutely crazy. You don't normally see a cold front this sharp that is this large. It's going to impact everybody, and it's going to be very impactful whenever it comes through. We're talking about the main threat being widespread damaging winds. This is a system where everybody's going to get hit by it. You're not going to get missed, so make sure you're ready for that. The primary threat is going to be widespread, destructive, straight line winds that could easily knock down power lines. I think we're going to see potentially over 1 million people, maybe even millions of people without power for a period of time during this storm. And what's really unfortunate about it is that it's happening during the evening and early nighttime hours, which is going to accelerate our problems as far as people being surprised, people not taking shelter and stuff like that. So make sure that you have a way of getting alerts on Sunday night. And notice how far east this goes. This looks like the kind of system that is not just going to be for the Midwest and for the Ohio Valley and for the South. It really looks like the East Coast is going to get in on this. And in fact, there's a possibility right now that this could be a bigger deal for the East Coast, for the Mid-Atlantic, and for the Carolinas than it is in Missouri, for example. It's very rare that we see this kind of setup so favorable for the East Coast. We're talking about Washington, D.C., down to Columbia, and everywhere in between, really. Notice how we have this thunderstorm fuel really get going in the center of the U.S. It goes down overnight on Sunday, but as we go into Monday, it builds back up, and it meets up with that incredible moisture and wind shear that we're going to have over here, once again, between Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Raleigh, Richmond. This looks like a really intense, severe setup for our friends on the East Coast. Check it out. The Storm Prediction Center is already putting out a rare 30% risk for cities like Washington, D.C., Raleigh, Wilmington, Fayetteville. This doesn't happen over here. It's very rare that we get a day 4 slight risk on the East Coast like this. It's crazy that we have a day 4 30%. I don't know when the last time this happened was, but I also don't remember the last time I've seen a setup this favorable for severe weather on the East Coast. And the latest Rufus model here is just absolutely, it's pretty crazy. And we got to remember that the Rufus can sometimes be a little bit of a doofus, and it can kind of over-exaggerate things. I mean, we said that for the last storm, and it wasn't exaggerating too much. But what we see here is that big squall line coming through, potentially meeting up with prefrontal supercell. So we've got a real tornado threat over here, plus one of the more intense damaging wind setup that we've seen over here in years. If this were to actually happen like this, once again, this would be a very memorable and impactful storm for the East Coast. Once again, millions of people potentially losing power. And then if we have that tornado threat with the cells that are popping up out in front of the main line, that takes this to a whole nother level. But I don't want to talk about that too much right now because it depends on too much mesoscale meteorology that we just don't know right now. The only thing that I can tell you for sure is that we are definitely going to be live for both of these days, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. And I just want to harp on the moisture a little bit more. We're talking about...
We're going to watch this a little bit more, and then we'll hop to Visual Venture.
Temperatures and dew points up into the mid 60s, all the way up into Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Okay, we're going to have very deep dew points, very deep moisture over here in South Carolina and North Carolina, approaching 70-degree dew points. That is insane. Okay, we're going to have crazy convective available potential energy levels as well. We're going to have that sharp boundary. So this is something we all have to watch very closely. If you're on the East Coast, start letting everybody know, hey, it looks like Monday is going to be a big day, because you guys don't have to worry about this stuff as much as people farther west. And moving on a little bit, while the eastern U.S. is going to plunge into a January-like freeze after this storm goes by, the West and the desert Southwest is about to be engulfed in a historic, mind-boggling heat wave. We have an anomalous high-pressure system that's going to be setting in over here, and that's going to park itself over the region, trapping sinking air and sending temperatures skyrocketing to pretty much unthinkable levels for this time of year. We're talking about widespread highs surging well into the 90s, with a very real threat for several areas getting into the 100-degree range. That's going to be on Wednesday and Thursday. This is going to be before the spring equinox has even happened, which is once again why it's so unheard of over here. The level of heat that we're going to be talking about is actually unheard of. That's not hyperbole. That's not hype. That's It's not the weatherman trying to get clicks and views. This is absolutely, for the third time this video, I think this is a record, plumb wild. Get ready for 45-degree above average temperatures on Thursday. Holy smokes. This is going to be a heat wave, the true definition of a heat wave over here. We're going to be smashing records all over the place. I mean, records, just go ahead and throw them out. If you're heading to spring training games in Arizona, or if you're spending any time outdoors over here on the West Coast, you must prepare for dangerous midsummer heat and hydrate aggressively. It's going to feel like July, but it's not. It's March. Okay, so once again, get ready for those records to be broken and enjoy it. You know, not everywhere.
All right. You guys all heard what the man said. Let's hop to the next video, Visual Venture.
We've all seen weird stuff online, but that's just the English side. The Japanese internet has stories about curses, disappearances, and strange mysteries that were never solved, and most people outside Japan have never heard of them. Today we're exploring the creepiest content from the Japanese internet. We'll start with the strange cases and save the worst for last. The new goal, guys, is 2.5 million subscribers by the end of 2026. It's a crazy goal, so it would mean the world if you subscribe, and I will do my very, very best to put out the best videos I possibly can for you. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. The mystery of the evaporated people. On Japanese social media, there's a hashtag that translates to husband missing. Under that hashtag, women post photos of husbands who left home and never returned. They just vanished into thin air. In Japan, there's a word for this. It's called johatsu.
Johatsu means evaporated people, and it is the term that Japanese use for when people disappear without a trace.
It's estimated that 100,000 Japanese people disappear each year. That number alone is unsettling. What makes it even more disturbing is that this has been happening for over 50 years. The term johatsu started being used in the 1960s. Back then, some people in Japan wanted to escape unhappy marriages, but divorce was a long and difficult process. So instead of going through the courts, they chose to run away. Soon, others followed for different reasons. Japan's work culture was intense. Employees had to work long hours and remain loyal to one company.
Oh yeah, like it's literally bad over there. It's literally that bad. Like I'm not even joking. The Japanese way of life when it comes to work, it is so unforgiving and such bullshit.
In many companies, your salary isn't really based on how good you are at your job, but how long you've been sitting in that company.
Some couldn't handle the pressure. They left home one morning and never returned. Others vanished out of shame. One engineer lost his job but felt too embarrassed to tell his family, so he disappeared. Another case involved a family that owned a restaurant. They took out a loan they couldn't repay. When the debt became too much, the entire family disappeared. There were many more reasons. Even failing an exam can motivate people to disappear.
That is actually the case for many of Yohatsus. They chose to vanish because of depression, disappointment, rejection, and lack of...
And it's like there are like families in Japan, like strict families, to where like it's like, say for example, there's this one Japanese family, the Haritos, just for a fake family called the Haritos. And they are a very prestigious and very proud family, to where failure is not an excuse. And if they have a son, they have like, okay, let's like say two sons, 2 daughters, total of 4 kids. Okay, they have a son, and they have a son that takes an important exam, and he hopes he finishes it, completes it, and then he's hoping and he's hoping and praying to whatever that he passes, and when he gets the news, the results in the mail, the results are devastating. He fails after preparing like crazy. And guess what he does? He decides to don't worry about the name. He decides to disappear. Because of why? Because of shame. Because it's remember what I said earlier. The father said, failure in this family is not tolerated. I mean, come on. Come on. Come on. That's
support.
It felt as if people were dissolving into thin air. That's why the Japanese called it Johatsu, which means evaporation. The name came from the idea of water disappearing into the air. Now we get to the strangest part of this case. Most people didn't have the skills to disappear and build a new life, so an entire industry was formed to help them do it.
Japan is the only country I know that has an entire underground industry dedicated to helping people disappear.
In Japan, there are companies known as Yonigeya. In English, that means midnight escape agents.
These agents offer services such as secret relocations, where a person could be transported to a new location overnight without anyone knowing.
Midnight escape agents operate openly. They have websites, logos, and office staff. They charge anywhere from $450 to $2,600. Once someone hires them, planning begins immediately. Days before the move, they help clients sneak out small items and store them elsewhere. If the client is alone, the move usually happens in the middle of the night. If an entire family wants to disappear, each member is sent on a fake errand that morning. By the time anyone notices, the home is empty. If the client has debt and is being watched by debt collectors, the movers find ways to avoid detection. Every detail is calculated. Then they transport the client to secret towns.
There are neighborhoods that have become hotbeds for Johatsu, and much like the people who call them home, they no longer officially exist.
Some of these secret towns don't appear on Japan's official maps. In these places, people can rent rooms and work cash-only jobs without showing ID. For someone who wants to disappear, it offers a clean break. Imagine an entire town filled with people who were reported missing. Sounds pretty creepy to me. So if you ever scroll through Japanese social media, don't be surprised by all the missing person posts. It may seem scary to us, but over there, disappearing is actually a business. This next case is about a guy who took his obsession with a girl too far. The creepiest love story.
Oh God.
In 2011, a man went on an online
This ought to be
Japanese
good.
chat room asking for advice. His post was titled, "Help. The girl I like won't respond to my emails." At first, people thought it was a simple dating question, but the more he explained, the creepier he seemed. The real problem was how obsessed he sounded. He was willing to do anything to win her.
This kind of reminds me of that one bitch, Natasha. She's on Instagram still, but she hasn't posted anything in like I don't know how long. She's so beautiful, so nice, but let me tell you something. She ain't fucking shit. Let me see. What does she look like again? Let me see. What does she look like again? What's her fucking name? Damn it. Yeah, it's Eam something. It's Eam something. Damn. I don't remember. Not anyone can dress as Ram. Anyone can dress as Ram. Which I don't even know who the hell that is. Let me see if I can... is she? Where's that picture? Hold on. There's a whole bunch of other screenshots that I forgot I had. It's her name is something I forget. I haven't talked to her in a long time, and honestly, she bitch doesn't even talk to me back. Her name's Natasha, I know that, but I just. Trying to find it. I'm trying to remember her account name, but it escapes me. Hold on. Let me see something. Alright, let me see here. Okay, her name is... Okay, this is basically what she looks like. This is what she looks like. It was like during the pandemic, and I talked to her for a while, for like about a month. Don't remember what year it was. And after that, she completely ghosted me. Completely fucking ghosted me. I tell you, she's... What's a good picture of her? This is what she looks like without all that makeup. Look how fucking beautiful she is. Her name's Natasha, and look how beautiful she is. This bitch right here, ghosted me. Natasha, if you are seeing this, fuck you. Okay? This is the reason why dating women like this fucking suck. Because they start out nice with you, but then they just turn out to be completely I fucking despise this kind of women. Anyway, just wanted to let you know. I hope she sees this. And whoever you are, if you know her, tell her to shove this up her ass.
Were over. Users soon realized they were watching a stalker situation unfold live. The man never shared his real name. For story, we'll call him Kai. Kai said he liked the girl named Denko. They went to the same college, but he was too shy to confess his feelings. One day during their second year, they hung out in a group. He got her contact details. After that, they began texting. Then Denko suddenly stopped replying. 3 days passed with no response. Kai was worried. He thought maybe she was hurt, so he asked the chat room what to do. Before giving advice, users asked one question. How many times did you message her? Kai's answer shocked everyone. He sent 600 emails in 3 days. That's like one message every 7 minutes. And he didn't see anything wrong with it.
The sheer number is alarming enough, but the way he just casually drops that in like it's a totally normal thing to do is wild.
Some in the chat room called it stalker level creepy. They told him to stop contacting her immediately, but Kai refused. He insisted he was in love. The chat room then asked what their conversation looked like before Denko stopped replying. Kai told them.
He gave a couple of examples of how their conversations went when Denko was still replying, which are honestly just ridiculous.
The messages were repetitive and boring. What do you do for fun? What do you listen to? At that point, some users began trolling him. They told him to send more emails and call her nonstop. They were being sarcastic, but Kai took them seriously. He bombarded Denko with more messages. Denko finally replied. She wrote, "Don't email me anymore." Most people would understand that clearly, but Kai didn't. He returned to the chat room and posted her message. He asked what he should do next. When users told him to leave her alone, he refused. Instead, he took things to the next level. He went to Denko's house unannounced. What's disturbing about that is that he had her address. He knew exactly where she lived. And as we'll see in a second, that alone was enough to make her fear for her life. Most people don't realize how easy it actually is for someone to find that information about someone else. Your home address, your phone number, it's most likely public online right now and anyone can see it. A few years ago, someone found my own personal details and used it to threaten me and my family. That was the moment I realized how exposed our data really is. You see, data broker websites make money by selling your information to anyone who pays. And what's crazy is that this is completely legal, but they're also legally required to remove your information if you ask them to. I try to remove my data online by myself, but there were hundreds of these sites with my information. There was just no way I could do it all. That's how today's sponsor Aura can help. Aura finds which websites have your data, then they handle the removal requests for you. Within a few weeks, you'll notice less spam calls, less junk mail, and your information becomes much harder to find online. But Aura goes beyond data removal. It monitors the dark web, so if your data shows up there, they'll notify you right away. Aura will also tell you if someone tries to take out credit or open a bank account in your name. And in the worst case scenario, you're backed by up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. And because Aura protects you from every angle, they give you a VPN, antivirus software, and a password manager, which all help you stay safe online. If you guys want to try Aura, click the link in the description or head to aura.com/VV for a 14-day free trial. That gives Aura enough time to find out if your personal data is already being sold online. Kai arrived at Denko's house and rang the doorbell. Denko's mother answered. She appeared to know who he was because she stepped outside and told him, "If you come by again, I'll call the police." Kai went back to the chat room and asked why Denko's mom was mad at him. Users were blunt. They said Denko obviously told her mom that he was harassing her, but Kai rejected that explanation. Instead, he blamed Denko's mother for interfering. He wrote, "I need a way to meet Denko without involving her mom." A few days later, he returned to her house. This time, he didn't knock. He snuck around the property and peeked into Denko's room. Their eyes met. Denko screamed. Kai ran away. Hours later, Denko sent Kai a message. "Don't call me or email me anymore, please. I'm sorry, but I'm really scared. If there's been a misunderstanding, then I apologize. But this is my last email. Please don't contact me again. I'm begging you." Denko feared for her life. After that, Denko changed her phone number and email address. Kai could no longer reach her. Again, that should have been the end. But Kai did not give up. Kai contacted Denko's best friend. He offered to pay for updates about Denko. The best friend agreed. He first paid 3,000 yen, which is about $20. Over the next few weeks, he kept paying for information. One day, the friend told him Denko would be at a certain park. Kai went there. He found Denko. When Denko saw him, she snapped. She punched him and screamed at him to leave. He left to avoid causing a scene. Later, he returned to the chat room and explained what happened. He still believed it was just a misunderstanding. This time, the chat room turned on him. They told Kai he was the problem. Some even praised Denko for defending herself. After that, Kai claimed he stopped contacting her, but he kept posting in the chat room. He later revealed that he met another girl whom he paid in exchange for a relationship. That relationship also failed. On May 2nd, 2011, Kai made his final post. He wrote that he didn't understand how girls think at all. After that, he disappeared from the forum. Kai never revealed his true identity, so no one could track him down. That also meant that no one could verify his story. In 2012, someone translated Kai's thread from Japanese to English and posted it on Tumblr. And that's how we know about this today. Many readers treated it like a joke, but it was most likely the real-time online diary of a creepy stalker. The Monster with 21 Faces. In online Japanese chat rooms, there's one case people still discuss. It was a crime spree that happened in the 1980s. The group behind the crimes had a name straight out of a horror novel, The Monster with 21 Faces. For over a year, they kept Japan on edge. They didn't just commit crimes, they turned it into a sick game. The public first heard about The Monster with 21 Faces in 1984. That March, two masked men kidnapped Katsuhisa Ezaki. He was the president of Ezaki Glico, one of Japan's largest candy companies. The kidnappers broke into his home and took him while his wife watched helplessly. They left behind a ransom note.
A ransom note demanded Ezaki's company Glico turn over 1 billion yen and 100 kilograms of gold in a specified phone booth.
It was the largest ransom demand in Japanese history. Ezaki's family contacted the police. Search teams spread out across the area. Meanwhile, the family gathered the ransom money, but the police wanted to catch the kidnappers, so they waited at the drop location ready to arrest anyone who came for the cash. The family placed the bag at the location and left. Officers waited and watched, but no one ever came to pick it up. About 3 days later, after his abduction, Ezaki returned. He claimed he was tied up in a warehouse, but he managed to escape on his own. Unfortunately, Ezaki couldn't identify the kidnappers or provide police with any clues. The case could have ended there. Instead, it escalated. Weeks later, the group set fire to several cars at Glico's headquarters. That same day, the criminals sent letters to two major newspapers. The letters did two things. First, they mocked the police for not catching them.
Two Japanese police fools. Are you stupid? With so many of you, what are you doing? If you're real pros, try catching me.
They also dropped hints about their crimes.
The car we used is gray, and the food was bought at Taiyei. If you want new info, beg for it in the newspaper.
The letter was signed, The Monster with 21 Faces. Now the entire country knew their name, but the Monster was just getting started. In May 1984, the Monster sent another letter.
The Monster claimed to have laced $21 million worth of Glico products with potassium cyanide. Some reports said hydrocyanic acid soda.
In simple terms, they said they put poison in candy that was already in stores. The news spread fast and Japan panicked. Supermarkets removed all Glico products. Parents threw out candy. Glico lost $130 million from this threat alone. To save the business, hundreds of workers were laid off. When investigators tested the candy, no poison was found. The Monster was just bluffing, but the fear it caused was real. In June 1984, the Monster sent another letter. We're satisfied. The president of Glico has already gone around with his head hanging down long enough. We would like to forgive him. Just like that, the attacks on Glico stopped. No ransom was paid. No arrests were made. Many believed the nightmare was over. They were wrong. A few months later, the Monster chose a new target. That October, they began threatening another candy company called Morinaga. A letter was sent to newspapers. It was addressed to the moms of the nation. In it, the Monster claimed they placed poisoned Morinaga candy in stores. This time, it wasn't a bluff. Police searched supermarkets nationwide. They found over a dozen poisoned candies. Strangely, the Monster placed warning labels on them. Danger contains poison. You'll die if you eat this. The Monster with 21 Faces. Morinaga's sales dropped 60% overnight. The company laid off employees. The government had to intervene to prevent the business from collapsing. The Monster then threatened other Japanese food companies. One letter read, "We are the culprits involved in the Glico and Morinaga incidents. If you do not want want to become another Glico and Morinaga. Put out the cash. If you don't respond, we'll poison your products. Several companies paid ransom. Meanwhile, police thought they were doing everything to find the monster. They believed they were closing in. During one ransom pickup, an undercover officer was assigned to deliver the money. He boarded a train. Then he noticed a man watching him. The officer said the man had eyes like those of a fox.
He looked cunning, hunting, and they nicknamed him the Fox-Eyed Man.
When the officer tried to follow the man disappeared into a crowd. Days later, the police released a sketch of the fox-eyed man. They even identified a suspect.
A man called Miyazaki. Physically, he looked just like the Fox-Eyed Man, and he did also have a bit of a history with Glico.
But after the investigation, he was cleared. Over time, police interviewed roughly 125,000 persons of interest. None of them were linked to the monster. Months passed with no arrests. The public was angry. The media criticized the government. The officer leading the investigation was dismissed. He considered it the biggest failure of his professional career. So, out of embarrassment, the officer did the unthinkable. News of his passing shocked Japan. 5 days later, the monster sent one final letter. They talked about what happened to the officer.
No Korea Yamamoto died like a man, so we decided to give our condolences. We decided to forget about torturing food-making company.
It sounded like they felt guilty about his passing and decided to stop. The letter ended with, "It's fun to lead a bad man's life." No one ever heard from the monster again. The case remained open for years, but in the year 2000, the statute of limitations expired. That meant even if the culprits were identified, they couldn't be prosecuted. To this day, no one knows the true identity of the monster with 21 faces. But on the Japanese internet, this group is still a topic of discussion today. Up next is a story that made people afraid of browsing the web. The Red Room Curse. If you explore the darker side of the Japanese internet, one story keeps coming up. It's called the Red Room Curse. Some say it's just a myth. Others believe it's tied to evil spirits. The curse centers around a red pop-up window.
It's all about this pop-up that comes up when you're just browsing the internet. And it looks like a virus. Like, it's just like this red thing that pops up.
To some, it isn't just a normal pop-up. According to the legend, if the pop-up appears on anyone's screen, they won't survive the next 24 hours. And there were real-life events that convinced some people the Red Room Curse might be real. The earliest stories about the Red Room Curse date back to the late 1990s. Around that time, someone created a short animated video and uploaded it to a Japanese website. The cartoon followed two students who heard about the Red Room Curse. They were talking at school when one mentioned a rumor about a dangerous pop-up. If it appeared on your screen, your fate was sealed. The other student laughed it off. He didn't believe in internet curses. Later that night, he went home.
Once home, the boy, being skeptical about what his friend had told him, decided to look into it himself.
He searched
Why did you do that, bro? Seriously, why?
online for proof, but found nothing, so he gave up. Then, while browsing normally, a pop-up appeared.
The legend is about a pop-up box on the internet that reads, "Do you like?" in Japanese, which is also narrated by a girl.
He tried closing it. Each time he did, it came back. Eventually, the question changed to, "Do you like the Red Room?" Then the screen flickered and it went black. And many names started showing up in red. These were the names of everyone who had already seen the pop-up. None of them were alive anymore. As the boy scanned the list, his heart sank. He saw his friend's name, the same friend who told him about the cursed pop-up. Then at the bottom of the list, his own name appeared. It meant he was next. Suddenly, he realized that someone was standing behind him. The animation never showed what happened after that. It didn't need to. The message was clear. The next day, both of the boys were missing. Reports said they were found lifeless. That was a story in the cartoon. But after watching it, many believers of this story weren't sure if it was just fiction or if the curse was real. No one wanted to investigate. As one person wrote, "I really want to check it out, but I'm scared it'll be real." Then a real event made people even more scared of the curse. In June 2004, a Japanese schoolgirl ended her classmate. As part of the investigation, police searched her computer. They wanted to understand her motive, but they found something unsettling in her browser history.
The #1 bookmark on Natsumi's computer was a flash animation that depicted the Red Room Curse.
The Japanese media reported the discovery. The Red Room legend was no longer just a story. It was now linked to a real-world tragedy. This connection stayed in people's minds. Years passed. The original animation that made the curse famous got lost. But the story of the cursed pop-up kept spreading. Some created video games based on it. Others made short films inspired by it. Every few years, new claims appear online. Someone says their screen flashed red for for a second, or a strange message popped up and vanished before they could screenshot it. The Red Room curse legend felt relatable. Anyone can get a pop-up while browsing, and the idea that seeing it means you're already doomed is what makes it scary. This next chapter is about a screenshot of a creature that some swear isn't human. The Demon with No Face. In November 2020, a photo from a traffic camera went viral on the Japanese internet. It wasn't a car crash, weather update, or anything you expect to see on a traffic cam. It looked like a picture of a demon. At least that's what most people who saw it thought it was. The camera was located at a place called the Izu Skyline. It's a long mountain road in Japan. The cameras were installed for traffic and weather updates, so they captured images of the road every hour and posted them on the website. On November 1st, 2020, a Twitter user was checking out the live feed from those cameras. Then he saw something strange. A figure stood near the side of the road. It was completely black and it wasn't moving. It simply stood there facing forward. The shape looked human, but it had no visible features. No matter how much he zoomed in, he could not see a face. It was just a solid silhouette standing upright. The user quickly took a screenshot. He posted the image on Twitter and asked if anyone knew what it was.
It's so bright, and yet the figure is all black. It's creepy. Also appears to be slightly bigger than a normal person.
The post triggered thousands of reactions. Some thought it was just a person in black clothes or spandex, but the figure looked far too smooth. There were no creases or fabric lines. There was something else that made no sense. The figure had no shadow. That was unnatural. Then came the creepiest observation. The photo was taken on November 1st. That was the morning after Halloween. That detail shifted the entire conversation. Some began to think it was a supernatural entity, but others argued it was likely a prank.
Well, assuming the photo wasn't edited in any way, it was likely just a person trying to get captured by the live cam they knew took a picture at 6 a.m. every morning.
Even with logical explanations, the image continued to disturb people. There was no official statement from road authorities, and no one ever proved what it was. The camera continued operating as usual, and the figure never appeared again. Years later, it remains one of the creepiest images to come out of the Japanese internet. This next case was so unsettling that people made a movie about it. The Train Ride to Nowhere. In January 2004, a Japanese chat room asked users to share any strange things happening around them. Hundreds of users joined the conversation. They told stories about odd events and random coincidences. Then a user named Hasumi began posting. Her story was so unsettling that it made everyone stop and read. And it was unfolding in real time as she typed. Hasumi was typing while she was on a train heading home from work. It was late at night. The train was supposed to stop at her usual station, but it didn't.
It just kept going. 10 minutes passed, 15, 20, but still no sign of slowing down, no familiar station announcements.
Hasumi looked around. All the other passengers were asleep. No one seemed worried. Instead of panicking alone, she posted on the online chat room asking what to do. People replied instantly. First, they told her to check the conductor, but she couldn't find him. Finally, the train stopped. Hasumi stepped off and posted the name of the station, Kisaragi Station. That wasn't her stop, and she never heard of that station before. Users in the chat room searched online. Kisaragi Station didn't exist on any map. No one in the group recognized the name either. Hasumi was stranded at a place that didn't seem to exist. All she wanted was to get home. Some users told her to stay on the train, but Hasumi already stepped off, and the train left before she could get back on. Now she was alone.
The station was completely deserted. Not a single person anywhere.
Bro, I hate. Has that ever happened to you? Has that ever happened to you? Bro, this is holy shit.
The ticket office was dark and abandoned.
Hasumi tried to find a taxi, but there was none. People in the chat room told her to walk along the tracks until she reached the previous stop. So she started walking. Then she heard a voice behind her. Someone screamed, "Hey, don't walk on the tracks, that's dangerous." When Hasumi turned around, she saw a man with one leg. She blinked for a second and he disappeared. Hasumi kept updating the chat room. She was terrified, but she forced herself to keep moving. She saw a tunnel ahead and went through it. When she came out on the other side, she saw a man sitting in a car. He offered to drive her to a nearby hotel. She told the chat room and asked what to do. Users warned her not to get in. They said it was suspicious for someone to be there so late at night. But Hasumi Hasumi said she was exhausted, so she got into the car. At first, the driver was friendly. Then she realized he was driving in the wrong direction.
The driver wasn't heading toward any hotel. Instead, he turned into a narrow mountain road, driving deeper into the wilderness.
Hasumi asked what was happening, but the driver ignored her. He was just mumbling to himself. That's when Hasumi posted her final message. My battery's almost out. Things are getting strange, so I think I'm going to make a run for it. After that, there were no more updates. Hasumi never posted again. Hundreds of users stayed online waiting for Hasumi's return. She never did. People formed theories about what happened to her at Kisaragi Station.
Some said she must have slipped through a doorway into another dimension.
Others had darker explanations.
Maybe she died in an accident while dozing off, and what she experienced was her final journey to the afterlife.
Some believed the entire story was a hoax. People continued searching for any trace of Kisaragi Station, but they found nothing. 7 years later, someone claiming to be Hasumi posted an update saying she survived.
Nah, fat chance in hell on that, bro.
Most people didn't believe it. Over time, Hasumi's posts spread across the internet, and the mystery of Kisaragi Station became one of Japan's most famous internet horror stories. In 2022, a movie was made about it. To this day, no one knows how true her posts were. All people saw was someone scared asking for help. Then she disappeared. The person in her next story did anything to get attention, including risking other people's lives. The case of the fake survivor. When we talk about creepy content, it isn't always ghosts or curses. Sometimes it's real people doing strange things. This is one of those cases. It involves a man who pretended to be buried alive. It all started with a real tragedy. On January 1st, 2024, Japan was struck by a powerful earthquake.
A powerful 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck central Japan, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake.
Buildings collapsed and fires spread, but the most urgent crisis was the people trapped under the rubble. They needed to be rescued before time ran out. That same day, 25-year-old Ryodai Kanemaru was at home. He also lived in Japan, but he was miles away from the disaster zone. He was completely safe. As the news of the earthquake spread, Kanemaru opened Japanese Twitter. He wanted to see how people were reacting. There were several thousand posts requesting rescue at the time. The trapped victims became the focus of national attention. Kanemaru wanted that attention too, so he decided to lie. That night, he posted, "My family is trapped in our collapsed house." To make the lie believable, he listed a real address in Wajima, one of the hardest hit areas. His message got a lot of attention. People replied and told him to stay strong. Others said they would alert authorities. He probably loved the attention because he decided to tell another lie. He posted another desperate message asking for help. This time he used a different address. Once again, people online reacted with concern. Kanemaru repeated the lie again and again. By the end of the day, he made about a dozen fake rescue posts. The next day, 10 officers went to the site posted by Kanemaru. They were there to rescue him, but they found no collapsed houses. All residents in the neighborhood were confirmed to be safe. The rescue team searched the area for about 20 minutes trying to find the person who asked for help. Eventually, they realized the rescue request was fake. But Kanemaru wasn't the only one doing this. Many others also posted fake rescue requests. A researcher later reviewed the rescue tweets.
The Institute said that there were over 1,000 tweets asking for help, and 104 were fake. Some of the posts included the name of non-existent places.
The situation became so serious that Japan's Prime Minister addressed it in a press conference. He called the posts malicious false information. It was a big issue because the fake posts sent them rushing to scenes where there was no one who needed help. Meanwhile, there were hundreds of real victims waiting to be saved. It was despicable. Police decided to track down those behind the fake posts and hold them accountable. Authorities analyzed Twitter accounts. They were able to trace the posts back to their sources. The investigation took time, but it produced results. In July 2024, the police arrested Kanemaru. The headline read, "Man arrested for making false rescue request on social media." He was charged with obstructing rescue work. When questioned, Kanemaru told police exactly why he did it. He said, "I wanted to take advantage of the earthquake to draw attention to my posts and get a lot of people to respond." In simple terms, he wanted likes and shares on social media, and he didn't care if real victims were hurting while he did it. The Japanese internet is full of stories that were never solved, never explained. Some are real and others...
Alright everybody, that's gonna do it for this video. If you liked this reaction, I'll be posting more. Right now it's a pain in the ass to where I don't know if I'm gonna be able to post any gameplays because I was trying to play. Well, one, I can't get Bloodborne to fucking work. Because of the dead Windows system that I have, like no more updates and all that. And my War Thunder like crashed on me twice. I don't know why. And I'm having issues with Total War, Warhammer 3. I guess my computer is just, I guess my tower rig is just not strong enough to run it. And right now I'm having difficulty getting Warhammer 2 to run. It runs, I mean it works. It's just I don't know if my tower can like keep it going. Like I'm just worried it'll crash. So right now I'm just waiting for my new tower to come in. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.